rain, no shine. There we go. I loved the movie. I thought it was great. And I was reading your director's notes. There was like a few different things. I really enjoyed what you said, but you had mentioned that you didn't want to make it a movie about bipolar. You wanted it just to be somebody that happened to have bipolar disorder. But it's also very personal because this is something you've struggled with your life. So how important was this to get out?
Well, it's a good question. Yeah, the film is loosely autobiographical, and for some reason I chose to write about the most embarrassing, shameful, and traumatic moments of my life and turn it into a romantic comedy. And strangely enough, that was very therapeutic, seeing it to completion and then showing it to audiences and film festivals around the country, and people like it. And so it was very therapeutic in the sense that like those traumatic memories no longer haunt me. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, completely. I love that you said how it was very therapeutic writing it. I also think because it comes off so authentic
Thanks.
and real, and I think anytime writing comes from like a vulnerable, uncomfortable place, it is definitely more effective, and that was the case with your film. I thought it was just such a great depiction, and it was so truthful.
Thank you. Yeah, and to hop on to what you said before, I was just writing a film about, that was autobiographical, and I happened to be bipolar and OCD and ADHD and all the other ones. So I definitely did not want to make it a film about bipolar disorder because I don't like preachy films, and I consider preachy films to not be art. I think that a film should be open to interpretation. So, so if anything, I was trying to make it not about bipolar, but my character has it because it's autobiographical. So, yeah, I forget what the next train of thought was, but
I looked too because I thought it was very effective that you're a character making a movie. I mean, you are making a movie about a character that's making a movie in the movie, which I love.
It felt true to life because that's what I was going on. Like, Ben, I knew what he wanted. I knew he wanted validation that he was a filmmaker and validation that he was innocent. And I wanted those two things too very badly. So, Ben's different for me in many ways, but in terms of our overall like super objectives, as they call them in directing and acting classes, we both wanted validation that we were filmmakers and innocent very, very badly. So I could hook on to that every second of the film. I know that's what I'm going for. So that way I could relate to it. I don't think a film has to be autobiographical to be really good, but writing from a place of truth, I think, is necessary.
I agree with you, and I think it doesn't matter what genre it's in. It's still, if it comes from a place of truth somewhere, then it's going to be effective and I think touch the audience, which I really feel like your film does completely.
Thank you.
I love Ellen's character too because she's also seeking validation. They're very different people, but
right, exactly. They connect in that strange way where they're both feel like outsiders, but they want some sense of validation.
Yeah.
I love Ellen's portrayal of Emma Taylor. Ellen's really nice and great to work with. She's awesome.
How was dealing with, because you directed it, wrote it, and you acted in it.
And I was the lead in it, and I also edited it.
Oh, Jesus. And then your brother
was a cinematographer.
I love that. That's great.
We had made a bunch of student films together where he was the cinematographer and I was the writer, director, actor.
And as a kid, you had mentioned in your director's note that you grew up making...
Yeah, when I was like 11 or 12, and I saw 2001: A Space Odyssey for the first time, Stanley Kubrick. I got obsessed with the idea of directing, and I begged my parents to let me get a mini DV camera. So then I would just shoot constantly, even if I had no actors. I would just shoot things like buildings and people walking around, and then edited it to music. Also, me and my friends would pass the camera around, like we would act and that person's acting, and then stuff like silly stuff. But I made so many videos, so I feel like that my filmmaking stuff I started to learn about filmmaking, I think, then, because I mean, if you just experiment with stuff and just do stuff, like even if it's bad or if it's cheesy or whatever, like it's just good practice.
Absolutely. It's like you're giving yourself film school before film school.
Yeah, and also with my student short films, I felt that they all fell flat. I was always disappointed in them. But I think you learn more from your mistakes than your successes. So thank God my short films weren't good, because I learned my lesson the hard way a lot of times. I made short films, try to get them into festivals, they wouldn't go anywhere. I was so disappointed. It was so disappointing. But I learned from them. I was like, I'm not going to repeat this mistake again. I'm not going to repeat this mistake again. And so that's, people ask me, how'd you write, direct, and act at the same time? And that's basically the answer, is that I did it so many times on these short films and failed, being the writer, director, star, editor, and my brother is a cinematographer. I made a bunch of bad short films in order to get to, well, I don't want to sound arrogant, but to Inside the Rain, which I'm very proud of. I think it's I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited to show the film to people.
I think it will have a great response because it's just truthful. It just feels, and there's a charm to it, and it's funny stuff. A charm.
Oh,
like it's charming in a way, but it's entertaining. Most importantly, it's entertaining. It really is.
I wanted it to be entertaining.
It's super entertaining. Yeah. The scene with you in the lift. I love that. With the coin.
It's funny enough that it's like one of the moments in the movie that is very autobiographical.
Really?
It didn't involve a Lyft driver though. I can't talk about it, but
but it's
other stuff. Yeah. I've done a lot of crazy shit. It's not just I didn't make it up in the movie. I've done crazier shit than what the character does in the movie. Much crazier stuff, because he's supposed to be 25, and so he's already been taking medications and stuff. When I was 19, I had my first manic episode, and I went batshit crazy.
Yeah, the fact that it does deal with mental illness, I also think is very important, because it is very hard to figure out what pills work for you and what pills don't, because everybody's different.
Yeah, it took me 12 years to figure out the drug cocktail for me.
Yeah.
Trial and error. I take 18 prescription medications per day. Yeah. That's not pills, not 18 pills per day. It's 18 different prescription medications a day. And it sounds insane, and it's a lot, but it's just what is work. If it's what's worked for me, I wouldn't have been able to make this film, write it, direct it, act in it, edit it, even do what we're doing now. Yeah. If I wasn't on my medication, if I weren't on my medications, I wouldn't be able to do any of this, because I wouldn't be able to be productive. Maybe I'd feel like high and inspired or something, but I would be not functional enough to do anything about it.
Yeah, but that's why I love the film, because it's such an honest portrayal.
Thanks.
Last question. Really fast, because the cast was amazing. I just talked to Eric, who's incredible, and who adores you and calls you a genius, and is, I think, your number one fan. So
he's great. He's so great to work with. He's so nice. He flew around the country to help promote the film at festivals, and
I think that's if Eric Roberts says you're good, then people should see it. That's a good seal of approval there. But is there anything that you just want people to take away from the film?
The thing is really the main theme of the movie, which is the image of being inside the rain. Yeah. I want it to be open to interpretation for movie viewers, but I saw the rain image as a metaphor for bipolar depression, because I felt you could be soaked in the rain and be absolutely miserable because it's miserable outside, or you could be soaked in the rain and be very happy and like dancing around in the rain. It's like, wow, this is really cool to be soaked in the rain.
Yeah.
So I saw that as a metaphor for bipolar depression, where a normal person might get depressed because of circumstances they find themselves in, but someone with bipolar will get depressed because of chemical imbalances in their brain, and and it has nothing to do with anything. Like
Yeah.
people will ask them like, "What's wrong?" and they'll just say everything fucking excuse my language.
No, you can.
You know, everything sucks. You know,
Which I think is even more frustrating because it's not like there's like a specific causation.
Yeah. People are trying to figure out what's wrong with you, but what's wrong with you? 85% of what's wrong with you is purely medical. There's 85% of it is treated by the meds. The remaining 15% is psychotherapy. Really, honestly. So I saw that as a metaphor because you could be in the exact same circumstances and be depressed or really happy. But I want it to be open to interpretation, like I said.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. And
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm so excited for this to come out.
Thank you. And it's it's coming out. Well, you know, theaters closed down recently, as everyone knows. We were going to release the film nationally, all across the country, in many theaters in all cities. But because the theaters are shut down, we decided that we want to bring the movie into households as early as possible. So we are releasing it digitally. We're going to releasing it digitally, and it might reach people's homes within a few days from now, actually.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's a good time, I think, people. This will be...
Well, you know, the theaters are shut down.
I know,
so.
it's nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. I thought it was so good. It was